Can you like check if you're both audible and visible and the shared screen is visible? Hmm, I'm not seeing any chats.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So, hey guys. Welcome back to the Tech Talk series by Progressive Techies. This is like our fourth session in the series, and yeah, hope you are all safe at home. All your family is safe. So today we have with us Alok to talk about Blazor. So I was checking out his profile, and it's his Facebook profile has like a lot of adjectives to like describe him. He's a TEDx talker. He's a writer, and I think he's one of those guys who likes to learn every programming language just for the fun of it. So yeah, I hope we're gonna have a great session today. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can use the chat box on the right side. And after the session, we will be having a QA session in the end, and also we'll be like putting out some polls on the right side in between the session. Please try to answer them also. And yeah, one just a brief intro about Progressive Techies in case you haven't heard of us. We are a welfare and cultural organization of techies in Kerala, of IT employees all around Kerala. We've been active for around 5 years now, and yeah, during these hard times of COVID-19 outbreak, we thought we'd do something productive that would help the techies upskill themselves. So that's how we started the tech series. So Alok, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yep, you
Okay.
are also
So,
loud and clear. So I'm
okay.
like giving it up to him and going mute. So enjoy, guys.
Uh, Between Sandeep is telling in the chat that he is not able to hear anything. Is there anything we can do? He vanished. Yeah, cool. So hi guys. I think we'll start off since we are already a bit late. So I hope I am audible to everyone. Since this is a pure online session, I would like every one of you to jump into your chat box, raise your hand if there is any connectivity issues, like you are not able to hear me, or any such stuff. Okay, because let me just tell you something. Like I really don't like this online session because basically I'm not able to see you, and every one of you are able to see me. That's the reason. So if I'm not audible, if there is any connectivity issues, please stop me. I've turned on the chat on the side. Yeah, Sandeep can hear now. That's great. Okay. So to start off, myself, Alok Rajasukumaran. I'm working as a consultant in Neudesic. So basically, I was into Blazor, working for some time, just going through how this thing is, what is happening on Blazor and other stuff. So we just cut off all the stuff, go forward with the presentation. So, um, yeah, so I have opened the chat box for anything if there is any issues. So before I start off, I've been into this domain of tech stuff for a full timer for the past 5 years, and I worked on many technologies. And whatever going to tell right now, whatever I'm speaking here is just my pure assumptions, what I think about technology, about Blazor, about everything, and there is nothing personal, and it's just for a chit chat. Okay. And if I am sounding like a lullaby to any of you, or any of you are able to sleep when I'm talking, noise in sound, yeah, man, I know. Even I'm hearing that for some time, but I really don't know who it is coming from, to be frank. Okay. I suppose at least that will keep you awake. So that's what I was telling. So If there is anything like you want to tell, please use the chat box. I'll be happy to talk back. So today we will be going with Blazor. So Blazor is basically, as I have wrote there, it's a single page adventure from Microsoft. That's how I like to call it rather than single page application. So there are obvious reasons for that. So I think we can go forward now. One thing I would love from every one of you is that if you guys can respond on the chat box, tell him, okay, go forward, stop the, explain something more. I'll be really happy. Okay. So I think we can go forward now. Someone please type something. Okay. Everyone is having. Okay, I think we can go forward. And this is more of like an robot. Yeah. Thank you, Rashid. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Okay. So, so what is Blazor? Um, So Blazor is a .NET Activewear initiative. So why .NET Activewear? So past from year 2012 to 2015, you should have been hearing something called Xamarin, which was basically a framework that was used to develop .NET applications that will run in mobile devices. So that was something that came out in an initiative where you are able to write with .NET in a new platform. So to summarize it up, there was Apache Cordova by that time. Ionic was coming up. Like there were many competitions from the JavaScript part, and .NET was coming back. Okay, yeah. So .NET was falling back. So they wanted to do something from the .NET side, and some people came up with Xamarin, and later Microsoft acquired it. So by .NET Everywhere initiative, what I'm meaning is Xamarin, the old ecosystem, the mono framework, and then going forward, the ASP.NET Core for sure, because that's something really great. So Blazor comes under that initiative, and Blazor, the word is actually a combination of two words, browser and Blazor. It was really hard to make the word. Like the reference from Jacob Peters or Garage, it was really hard to make the logo. So the same way, it was really hard to make the word. So that's what is Blazor. And purely Blazor is actually an answer from Microsoft for the SPAs out there, which is AngularJS, Angular TypeScript, or React, Vue.js, and a lot of other JavaScript frameworks. And Java frameworks are also there, Python frameworks are. Okay, everyone has a framework so for them. And as usual, because Microsoft loves open source right now, Blazor is also open source. And at the time of writing, wherever I copied this from, there was 3,700 companies and 61,000 plus contributors who were contributing to this open source platform. So that would be a brief intro about Blazor. And a bit of the history, how actually Blazor started. I did tell you about the Xamarin part, how the mobile was up there. So Blazor actually started off as a personal project from someone called Steve Sanderson, who is working with Microsoft. And he showed off that demo in NDC Oslo in 2017. The first version obviously was not that great. It was an interpreter one using the .NET CIL, Common Intermediate Language. And that time it was called as .NET Everywhere. There was a very good reason for that because they had Xamarin and they wanted to get to the web also. Okay. So right now, many will be thinking like, okay, we had Silver, like we had, let's say we have ASP.NET. So why do we need Blazor? Right? I will come to that. I don't know whether we are asking questions. No, there is no question. Okay. So at the time of inception, the limited feature set was really a huge problem for Blazor. And later on, to be really frank, Blazor was part twice in its history. Like they stopped the development and then again they restarted after some times. That was something happening at the time. Right now it's in stable state. What Microsoft says, and we'll discuss on that more on the next slide. Yeah. So what Blazor is not. Firstly, Blazor is not Silverlight Ribbon or Silverlight 2.0 or Core Max or anything as such. Okay, Blazor is a completely different animal which doesn't have anything to do with Silverlight or its implementation. And because of Microsoft having a very good reputation, dark reputation to be frank, with Silverlight, how they took it off, how they put it down, there is a reason why people are not taking up Blazor, thinking, okay, this can also end up like Silverlight. So Blazor is probably not Silverlight, and this comes completely under their open source stuff. So what they're telling, even if Microsoft stop working on it, people will start contributing. That's how all JavaScript ecosystem or the Python ecosystem is living, right? So the same way. Now, there are two methods of getting Blazor running. Okay, so there is something called Blazor server and Blazor WASM. So the Blazor stuff either runs on your server, okay, as an ASP.NET Core application, and your terminal acts as a terminal taking the data and showing to you, or you can run it on the client side using WebAssembly or WASM, which is a beautiful creation, which is not from Microsoft obviously, which is from somewhere else. Okay, so going forward, I will surely explain about how the server side and the client side is working, the WASM and all that on the next slide. We'll just go forward for the time being. So Blazor server, Blazor client. So the server hosting model, the app is executed on server, which I told on just before, as a core app, and all the UI, the handles, the events, the JavaScript calls, the DOM calls, DOM refresh, DOM update, whatever that is happening in your browser, is handled using Signal R. So those who don't know what is Signal R is Microsoft on implementation of a messaging bus, let's say like a RabbitMQ. So what happens is like the .NET Core application runs through, your browser is sitting here, the data is getting passed back and forth using Signal R. And for the Blazor client, what really happens is like the .NET is not running in your browser. Okay, it's written .NET running in your browser because it's kind of like that, but don't take it for full work. It's not running in your browser. So what really happens is like WebAssembly gets all the code of .NET compiled, and that code is running on your browser using WASM. So we'll go to the architecture side now. So is till now everything okay for everyone? Anyone has any questions or anything? I'm audible to everyone, right? Because I have to make sure that every time now and then. Can someone say why, yes, no, anything, please? No, yes, nothing. I'm worried right now whether I'm cut off. Yeah. Thank you, man. Okay, so yeah, thank you. But some clarity is missing. Yeah, I know, Sajid, I don't know what that's. Let me go forward. So the Blazor server, this is working pretty much like this. So the reason why I'm looking here is because I got one more computer here while the screen is coming up. That's why. So the Blazor server, you have your browser, you have the ASP.NET Core, and inside the Blazor and outside a .NET.exe. Okay. So whatever code you have wrote comes up out as a DLL, which is inside this Blazor. I think I have this guy here, Blazor control. Yeah, here comes. So whatever DLL files you have wrote comes under this part, inside this Blazor. So this is actually giving you an encapsulation and security of nothing as such to be done. Why? Because not even at any point your so-called business project or so-called or whatever you're writing is going to the browser. Everything stays in your server and only similar messages are passed by. I will show you that why I'm calling it like a, let's say security miracle or something, because it's purely one of such that. So that's something I really love about the server implementation. But the server comes with its own headaches. Okay. Uh, Not sure whether it's my issue. Yeah, so the progressive techies are telling it's loud and clear, and Anub is telling it's not loud and clear. So basically, I'm confused right now. So I hope I'm loud and clear and I'm going forward. Okay. So what happens on the other side of the coin, WASM implementation? So you basically have your app code, okay, and you have the C# code and the views and everything, the Racer components, which I already mentioned. Blazor is basically a Racer, okay, Racer on your browser. So everything goes to the browser, okay, and then WASM sits on top of it, and your DLLs come inside, okay, and the .NET standard is there, and the mono runtime is there, which basically the .NET standard and the mono runtime, which basically does all the magic for you of interpreting and getting things done. So what happens is like every data is getting executed there on the compile time, and then that output is shown in your browser. So that's how it happens. So whatever DOM update is happening from your browser, okay, the DOM manipulations, it goes back to the backend, gets executed, and comes back. So everything happens on the client side, obviously. So on the other hand, for the server side, it was basically CTLR like this. Okay. So, uh, so I hope the architecture is clear for you guys for the server as well as client. Yes, no, anything? Okay, it's an S because it's a silence. So the advantages of Blazor server. So if you're using Blazor server, you don't really have to load the whole Wasm library. You don't have to load your .NET Core implementations, the mono library, many such libraries for sure. And everything is happening just via messaging bus, which basically is like a chat. So, once the chat is loaded, then it's blazing fast. So that's the same that is happening here. So the download size is significantly smaller than a Blazor WebAssembly app. And you can take full advantage of server capabilities. You can have beautiful APIs written which will be communicating server to server. So basically, there is no time lag or such stuff. And you got all the .NET tooling of debugging, server-side stuff which you can play around with. So that's how it is happening. So that's a set of the advantages. And there is some more. Every thin client is completely supported, which means all the mobile browsers, all the web browsers, everything is supported because it's basically a WebSocket. Okay. And the code base, the C# code base that you're writing is never going to the client. So that's something that people really love on .NET. And the downsides, of course, everything comes with a cost. There is a high latency issue, especially from if you're looking from an perspective of our continent from India. If your internet goes, your Blazor app is also down because the WSS code or the scalar connection is not going to happen. Okay. Oh, okay. I will slow down. Okay. So the second step, the offline support is not available on the Blazor server because you are not loading anything to the client side. So basically, you cannot give anything as an offline step. You have to be always connected. You should have a network that doesn't have a lot of latency or peak, but good speed. Then that's fine. And scalability is a challenge because you have to manage the state, you have to manage a lot of users, and all the hits are going to come and on your server. So you know how it is going to be. It's going to go on your server at some time or the other. Of course, you can scale, but that's up to you, right? And one more thing, you cannot have any sort of CDNs or such stuff for the serverless stuff because right now they are coming up with it, but still now it's not that good on the serverless architecture. So that would be the downsides of the Blazor. Now, going forward, the Wasm. So this is basically a holy grail, to be frank. Okay. So the web assembly, it was an interpretation of what to say, to get any sort of languages, not just .NET, C Sharp, or basically C Sharp. Yeah, C, CPP, Python, any language out of the box is going to run in your browser. That's how WebAssembly is kept forward. So the Wasm characteristics is common instruction sets getting compiled and working on your browser. Okay, so for the .NET, all the .NET stuffs are compiled and it's going to run in your browser. And this basically does not need you to install .NET or any such stuff in your client. So any machine you are able to run Wasm any language. Okay, and yeah, so I have already explained this. Did I miss anything here? No, that's it. Okay. So how does this thing really works? So the intermediate binary format, whatever that you have written, the C# code goes into the Wasm and Wasm sits on top of it. And your browser basically sends a request to the Wasm JS file and it gets interpreted here and it comes back. That's it. It's clear stuff. But the only problem with the WASM thing is that it has a headache of JavaScript. Like you have to have the WASM JS and other JS files loaded into the browser. So that's basically something that they're still optimizing on. So the download size is something around 5.2 MB to be frank for the normal Hello World application. So that's a headache. So that payload is going to be there all the time. So the optimizations are still going on. And then I think with that we'll go to some code right now. Okay. Um, so I'll do a couple of things. I will firstly turn off my video. Uh, Secondly, I will stop the presentation. That, okay. Yeah. And thirdly, I just maybe should do yeah. So basically, to play around with Blazor, you need the latest Visual Studio and the .NET Core Constructor. The .NET WASM comes only in .NET Core 3.0 up, and you need the latest upgraded version of Visual Studio. But for the .NET Blazor server part, you don't really need that. It's still working from 2.2, I suppose. Even 2.2 or everything, it was kind of working. But there are breaking changes happening, so you have to make sure when you are creating a version of .NET on your local machine. So to get started, I will just show you an example of running an hello world, just how to do this. Create a new project, go up, type in Blazor. Before we do the latest one, I have everything set up here. Right. Next. Now, since this is the latest edition, there is an option. You can either choose the server app or the WebAssembly. If you are having an older version of .NET SDK or if you are having an older version of Visual Studio, you won't be really seeing this WebAssembly option. Okay, so this is on the latest template. And you can basically, if it's a server app, you can tell if you want to make it a Docker compatible on the go, or if it's a WebAssembly, you can tell if you want it to be a progressive web application. So both options are available. So right now I'm going for the server app. Can you please enlarge the screen? I think. Okay. Should I get the notifier? So you're able to see the screen, Sharat? Is it okay for everyone? You're able to see the screen? So one thing I can recommend you guys is since we are using the browser, we can go for a full screen. So that can leverage the most of your screen. Okay, now I'm still waiting for the modifier. That's just a horror. One fifty would make the next, I suppose. Okay, so yeah. So the initial thing I will just go forward and explain the code, how this thing is. Okay, so you have appreciate. So if you guys are familiar with the Razor app, then it will be a bit more cakewalk. So you basically have the program and the startup stuff, which is how .NET Core is working. You have your app settings, which can basically have any environment settings. Then you have the imports here. Then you have the nav menu here, which is basically the navigation menu code. And then you have the main layout and everything inside the pages is basically each page that is going to come when you're clicking something on your nav menu. So if you see here, you have the home, counter, and the fetch data. And of course, there is code to do the collapsing and other steps. So I would just start off the code right now. There's the um, yes, I have the DevTools open because I wanted to show you guys something. So right now this is working on the server. So I have been telling you guys no such files and stuff are sent from the server to the client, right? So I will make it all. So this much are the files that is getting loaded into the client. Sorry. So this Blazor server.js is basically a preloaded file from Microsoft to make sure all things are happening. And then that's the total payload comes something around 440 KB. The entire thing is done. So if you see here, there is a code going here. It appears as code, which basically does all the magic of sending the messages back and forth. So I will just go to the counter, okay, and we'll go back here. Maybe I can split the screen a bit and go to the on the other side. Yeah. So whenever I'm clicking on the counter, I want you to look for the binary message coming. So the normal polling is happening. So see, there is a 29 byte stuff going up, which basically is a dispatch browser event that I have clicked on the mouse, okay, and that click happened on the screen XY coordinates as it says, okay. So that's how the communication is happening. Whatever clicks or whatever events that you are sending from here is going to go as a dispatch event, and post that there is a JS runtime back from the server, which basically tells, okay, render this thing has been refreshed, which basically means if you are familiar with the virtual DOM concept on React or DOM refresh on Angular, this will make more sense. Only the element that has been refreshed is sent from the server to the client after the initial log. So basically, when I'm clicking the click me button, the incoming payload, so uh, incoming payload, yeah, it's on reach right now. Not something that we can understand. So I'll show that one after the example that I have. So the incoming payload will be only the rendered text or data that has to come from the server to the client, which basically means only the best part, let's say the data that you want the client to see, that's only going to come from the server to the client. Okay, and so that would be pretty much about the Blazor server. And to be frank, this Blazor server implementation is not something that the whole .NET Everywhere concept was coming forward. Microsoft never wanted to give it this way. So I think you guys want to go like me, do not see this or yeah. So Microsoft actually wanted to implement the WASM back in 2017-18, right? Which but they were not able. So then they came up with the Siglar implementation, and they were copying up with that. And right now the WASM implementation it's on the preview, and Microsoft is telling they will be coming up with it on next month. That is May, but I don't know how it's going to happen with this COVID situation out there. So that's again a question mark, but that's how the world talk was going on. So that's pretty much about the Blazor server. So I just want to show you one more capability of Blazor, which was something that amazed me all the time. But before that, uh, I want to show you the WASM too, bit of the WASM, and because this thing was not working, I had to get it running on the server on a Windows Server machine. So I will go forward to run the example. So all the source codes are already there on, let's say, GitHub of Microsoft. So you can intend to and So thanks, thanks because I'm sharing the video. I'm pretty much confused here. So I hope like everyone is able to hear me. I'm audible. Do something back here. Uh, Same time, let me just get another project up here. Mm, yeah. So is another project. Let me start off. Okay. It basically has a lot of stuff in it. So oh, we go for a complete refresh. And so this is one capability of Blazor that really look good. So there is something called JavaScript interop. So this is a confusion with everyone out there whether all the JavaScript code that they have wrote is going to be obsolete when we are using this stuff. So what happening here is you have JavaScript interrupts. So you'll be able to communicate back and forth from JavaScript to .NET and from .NET to JavaScript. So that's something that makes a lot of sense because you don't really want to rewrite all your libraries. So how it happens, I'll show you. So we just type randomly and yeah, so randomly we can use it. Out here to the WS as we did last time. So what is my content? Going to dispatch
Hey Alok,
5,000. Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. Can you keep your mic a bit more closer? Sometimes it's just like getting unclear, and there is some
is it fine
slight
now?
background noise. Yeah, much better. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so to continue. So there was a question from the person which was some time back, which was basically what is your name? So this rendering happened this way from the server to the client. This is basically Blazor server. And we go down, I type back a random name. So this was sent back from the browser to the server. Okay. And then if you come down, yeah, hello randomly, welcome to Blazor. So this thing, what is written here, this is the only data that is sent from the server to the client. So this is basically the advantage of using Blazor server. So this much data is only used back and forth playing around with this thing. So now, and everything else written out there, let's say the route parameters and all other stuffs are something that's already working with Blazor, which is a good thing to play around with. So now I need to get back to the server to show you the WASM because it was not working on my client to be frank. Yeah. Okay. Luckily it started working now. Okay. I hope the screen is visible to everyone of you right now. So this is a WASM project, which basically means this is a Blazor WebAssembly project. This is on preview, and this needs .NET Core 3.1 out of the box. And the same example, I'll show you the same on here. Uh, so let's yeah. So about the JS interop stuff. So why it actually amazed me was because you will be able to leverage all the npm packages out there, which is a billion of libraries, which basically have all sort of libraries and everything out there. You will be able to use all your business logics that you have already wrote in JavaScript. You'll be able to play around with TypeScript, light libraries, turn it to JavaScript, expose it, use that directly again on Blazor. So this actually opens up your own new world where you are able to communicate back and forth with JavaScript from .NET directly without using any API. That's the best part. You don't want to write APIs. So now we'll do the same step. Go forward by running. Yeah. So if you see here, the Blazor has loaded 5.94 MB resources. So this is the one part that Blazor has to improve right now on the Wasm side because this is just an hello world with just some examples and it's pretty heavy. It's really heavy. So all the stuff is loading to client side right now. All your .NET libraries and everything has came down as Wasm library. So basically, it's going to perform offline right now. No API calls are going to happen. So if I go to JavaScript interops, I will execute the same example uh, with the network open so that we know basically if anything happened, right? Yeah. So I'm going to trigger this now and it's asking for the name. So if you enter name, nothing is going to the server. So even if I go up here, turn from online to what is that? Offline, trigger the JavaScript prompt, writing something random, post it, it's coming up. So this thing is out of the box of PWA. That's why I called it as enter title as simple paid adventure from Microsoft. So this is basically something that is going to work on your browser. But the problem is that there is a good headache right now, which we suppose like Microsoft will be clearing on a later stage. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't want to get into more stuff. I'll just stop this. Get back to the slide now. So now I think it's time to go for some questions, maybe, if you guys have something. Yeah. So I think it's open now for the question time. So 1 second, let me also come to the chat space. So are we going to turn on the video for everyone, or is it the audio, or is it just chat? Abhishek? Yeah, of course.
Apparently, we can have only two people talking at the same time. So sorry, it has to be the chat.
Okay, I think there is a good lag when it comes to the chat.
Yeah, but sadly, that's the only option we have.
Okay. So let's see if anyone has any questions. Okay, I cannot see any questions happening. Is this an alternative for Angular? Good question. So let me tell you, any good implementation that comes from any big tech change, it would take some time to get to a stage where you're able to consume that into a production environment. So if you see for the Angular, for instance, they're coming up with one release every year, React kind of same. And Blazor, they have already got the server side pretty much well right now. But for the client side, they're still on the preview. They are supposed to deliver that in the next month, but seeing this pandemic situation, I really don't know, and they really don't know, and no one really don't know whether what they will be able to come up with, sadly. So, alternative for Angular from the Microsoft perspective, yes, it's an alternative for Angular. So, if people people who are using Angular for a pretty long time on .NET Core, they will notice there was a functionality that was turned off on the last release of .NET Core, which basically was letting Angular to be the default SPA of the ASP.NET application. So that was something did from the corporate side perspective that would help out Blazor. But to port, let's say you have an enterprise application and you want to port all the code into a WASM application or the Blazor architecture, there is an architectural headache. There is a lot of code that has to be done. But the good part, you will be able to run everything, all your .NET code. Let's say you have some implementation in Xamarin or any other application, you will be able to run that out of the box. So that would be the good part. But on the current picture, they are telling it as an alternative for Angular, but we cannot accept it. But let's see how it goes on the future. Uh, and there is, of course, a lot of good features for the JavaScript libraries that have yet to come to Blazor. Let's say the loading time, which is the headache right now, because 5.2 per MB is something really large. That something has to be optimized. And there are some other hiccups for the debugging, the back and forth, source code plays. There are many things. So we have to wait for that to see how it comes up, how the exception is happening. So alternative for Angular from Microsoft side, yes. From a corporate side or from a consumer side, for private project, yes. For public project, not really. So I hope I answered your question. If is there any point I have to explain more, you can ask. Anyone else? Any questions? So this is one thing that I really hate about online session because we really don't know if everyone out there is listening to us. Yeah. How about PWA in the VS template? Yeah, it's there. Like you can just put a tick mark, that's it. It's PWA. You don't have to really write a lot of stuff or do anything. But again, that template that you saw right now, it's on GroupView, firstly. Secondly, that, okay, let me tell you the crazy part. I showed you the demo of client side in my personal laptop and the server side in an Windows server. Why? Because the server side code, which Microsoft already wrote and put in GitHub, was not working with my Visual Studio. It was telling like it was not able to find the .NET SDK in the server because I was using server for all the dev part. So then again, I had to push all the code from there to my client and then run it. By client, I meant my personal laptop. So there are compatibility issues to get both the client and server running at the same time. Maybe because that project is a bit old, but there are issues. So that thing has to be beared in mind. You will have to have a bit patience to get this thing running up and running. So you have the PWA option. You just have to put a tick mark for the WebAssembly. For the server side, you don't have the PWA option right now out of the box. And once you create it already a PWA, you don't have to do any sort of extra code. So that's for Sandeep and to Anwar. For a new enterprise application, what is the best a Riser page or Blazor? So firstly, Anwar, I need an explanation there. By Riser page, you are meaning an ASP.NET Riser application, and for Blazor, you are meaning like, okay, should I write on ASP.NET or Riser, or should I write this application as a server-side Blazor? Is that how it is that you are meaning? Between Sandeep, you have any questions, please come back. If I really did explain you or not. I'm waiting for Anwar right now.
Alok, I think there is a question that you missed from Nibin. Can you like scroll down a bit?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, Nibin, sorry. You were in the priority. Second is like message queue. Yeah, it's pretty much as I can say, it's pretty much RabbitMQ's Microsoft version. So it's a messaging bus from the browser or any communication device. you can have the messaging happening back and forth. As I showed you on the demo, on the browser, it would be basically WSS calls happening back and forth. That's it. So you can have, let's say, you can send arrays or whatever you want through the messaging queue from one device to another or one platform to another. So Anwar, I didn't get a reply from you. I'm still waiting. So Nipin, if I answered your question, please let me know. If there is anything more I should explain, please do let me know. And same for Sandeep too. Uh, yeah, I think I should assume what Anwar was telling because he's not replying right now. Um, yeah, thank you, Nipin. Okay, so Anwar, I would just assume and go forward since I cannot get a reply from you. I'm assuming you are talking about uh, Rise of Pages and Blazor server side. I would recommend you to go forward with Rise of Pages. Firstly, why? Because the server side implementation is not something that Microsoft really intended to release. It's an accidental PP, first of all. Secondly, most of the stuff, it would be good to work on the Rise of Pages unless you want a security advantage, which I will call it let me tell you, as I showed in the demo, when you are using the Signal or server-side implementation, only the message that has to come or update on the DOM is getting passed from the server to the client, which is a good thing when it comes to security, firstly. Secondly, it's a good thing when it comes to loading time. Thirdly, it's a good thing when it comes to how things are working out in a browser. You don't really keep any sort of load to the browser. So if you are looking for an application that would be a pretty much heavy thing and you want to make it be very light on the browser and you want every browser to be supported, then Blazor server side will be your good pick. But you have to surely research on all the negatives of server side, which basically is the drops calls. It will be really slow if the network connection is slow because it's basically back and forth messaging. Secondly, there can be issues if the connection is dropped. And thirdly, scaling is a headache. So that would be it for Andrew. If I answered your question, please let me know if you answered. And for Sandeep, what do you think Blazor will be ready for production? Good question. I really cannot tell that, especially on this current situation, because they were supposed to release the WASM implementation, which is really what everyone is looking forward to next month. And we really don't know, or we are not in a state to really assess or ask whether they are going to release it, looking at how things are happening all around the world. So maybe in next 3 or 4 months, if everything is going good, Blazor WASM can come out and the server can get a bit more stable and Blazor WASM can also get a bit more stable, then it will be ready for production use. And there are a lot of capabilities that everyone is getting on Angular and React, which has to come to Blazor. So that will also take this much time. And finally, there is one more thing. All the NPM packages, which I told a bit more, like explained on the demo, playing around with them, and the architecture part, that's a headache. So you have to go through that and re-architect your application to make sure what should be on the JS, what should be on the .NET, where something should lie, and get it done. So there are a lot of steps to be done. So I think I answered your question, Sandeep. If not, please ask back. And finally, one more thing. There is a set of libraries out from Syncfusion, which basically are many UI elements and graphs, graphical stuff, which you can plug and play with Blazor and use on both the WASM as well as server side. So if you are an enterprise who is looking for a solution out of the box with, let's say, a lot of UI elements, you can go for this Infusion stuff. It's plug and play. You will get a lot of UI elements. I forgot the count, but it's an enormous number of components. So, any more questions? So, I think I answered maybe something. So, if I answered you correctly, please let me know. If there is any more questions, please ask. just switch to the last one and keep it there and wait for more questions. If the server is down, will the signaler handle it for later request process handling without loss? So that's a great idea to be frank. There are two things that comes to the picture. There is a server, there is a client. Okay, so you basically have the client, you basically have the server. So what really happens is like the user should not refresh the page. So if let's assume like the user is a mobile user, there is very great chance that he may refresh the page or he may close it down. Just pause the app and go back. So the browser itself will be reloading when he comes next time, which basically means this is a new session and a new signaler connection, which does not know about the old signaler connection, which makes the whole thing complicated. Okay, so that's why I was telling the user state management has to be taken care of really well. That's one idea. Second thing, if the connection goes, it comes after some time. This guy will be actually be trying to actively connect back to the server every second to see whether the internet connection came. So smaller latencies will be taken care of by this Blazor stuff. It will be trying to get the message and get it back and refresh and do stuff. But let's say the latency is for more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Yeah, you really can set the timeout, like how many seconds this so-called back and forth call should be there and the timeout should happen. You can do that. That's obviously there, but that lies on how your application is. So end of the day, the user should not refresh the page. That's the basic rule. So that if user refresh the page, then it's gone. It will be treated as a new session. So that's a headache for all developers who are working on Blazor server. So yeah. So if I'm answering your question, Nipin, the request will be processed for the timeout that you're setting. Firstly, secondly, if the user refreshes the page, it's gone. He will be treated as a new user. Then he will have to again log in, or you have to find a mechanism to identify the user and give him the data. So if I answered it correct, please let me know. Okay. And to Sandeep back about browser compatibility, do we need to do anything specific? You don't have to do anything specific. If you're using a Blazor server, it supports all the clients out there, which is out there right now, all the legacy systems, everything, because it's a WSS support. I'm not telling it's going to support Internet Explorer because I really don't know whether it will even work there. But I suppose for the Blazor server, it will work. For the Blazor client, whichever client you are using, it should be a WASM compatible client. If you just go to Google, you will get the list of WASM compatible browsers. So why am I having put up that in the slide is because we are not really going behind the WASM part right now, since it's not out there. That was the reason why it was not in the slide. So the browser compatibility comes out like this. For the server, it's supporting all the servers out there, no issues with that. For the client part, it can take time. Uh, for the mobile, it was just coming out. Right now, since Chrome and every other browser has a lot of updations happening, let's say every couple of the days, since it's already out there, every major browser is supporting WASM right now, even in mobile. But let me tell you one more thing. All the bytecode is going to get executed in your browser's memory, which basically means there is a memory management issue. So if your .NET core is so large that the mobile browser or the mobile device, the client is not able to process it, there can be crashes. That's something WASM has to still optimize, and it's a gray area right now. They haven't optimized it. So that's something that is going on in my mind also, how they're going to do that. So that's one thing. So yeah, I think I answered your question, Sandeep. So your next question, can be compared with ActiveX? To be frank, I don't know what is ActiveX. I have heard the name. I think that was something that was before Silverlight, if I'm answering it correct. Okay. If it was an offline session, I can see it not in your head right now. But since it's an online, I cannot. So I have to wait for some time to get your reply. So I'm not pretty much sure about the ActiveX part. I'm standing on a point where I really don't know that. So I cannot answer that correctly. Comparing with ActiveX, maybe I can do something. Just if ActiveX is something that I meant. I really wish Audio was the correct one. Oh, the ActiveX control for Xcode. Isn't that what you all think? Should we really count ActiveX in? Because if I suppose ActiveX was something that was before Silverlight, right? So we cannot really okay, just a TLA which will run from the browser. I don't know how this guy is working there, to be frank. How they are communicating with the TLA directly from the browser. They should have some magic happening there, like that. So I cannot answer that question right now. Okay, something. I'm pretty much not good at that or tech to be frank. It's 2011 when I was in school. I don't know. I'm really sorry there. Maybe I can research a bit on it. You can connect with me on any of the IDs that is given out there. Okay, and we can take it offline and see how we can sort it out. I hope that answers it. So, any questions, Sandeep or anyone, please? Any questions? Abhishek, I think that's it.
Uh, all right. Uh, so yeah, thanks a lot, Alok. You've proven that you are like a very seasoned speaker. It was 45 minutes of session and 15 minutes of Q&A, just like we discussed. So thanks a lot from Progressive Techies. We hope that we can host you again for some other subject. Thank you once again. And
Yeah, thank
yep,
you guys. Thanks
thanks
everyone.
everyone who attended. Please check our page for the sessions, the upcoming sessions we have charted. Yeah, we have UI UX section coming tomorrow and secure coding session on Friday. Hope to see you all there also. So thank you once again, and we are signing off with that. Good night.
Thank you
See you.
guys. Bye bye.